Hello YouTube, I'm here to give you an in-depth review of the newest and first installment of the Aerox series, the Aerox Cloud. Aerox is an aviation company that I built that derived from a car company I had called Rafico. Now, surprisingly, this is the first functional aircraft I've ever made. Now, it looks pretty good for a first plane, but believe me, it's my first plane I ever built, and I think I did a pretty good job on it. So anyway, let's get right into it. Now the first thing you notice is that it's extremely light. As you can see, it deforms anytime I touch it. And I never really liked making light vehicles in general, because if you like miss the ignition key or like miss the seat, you don't want to like grab the vehicle by accident and pull it towards you. And it makes it look more unstable, but believe me, it's not in this case. A big mistake I made making a draft for airplanes that didn't work. They are way too heavy. In fact, they were like 3,000 kilograms plus. If I take my total mass tool and right click, it's only 195, which is extremely light for a vehicle. If I take out the weight tool, the wings are only 5. That's only 1. Back part's 10. This is 3. The wheels are only heavy though, because the heavier the wheels are, the more capacity it can hold up stable. So anyway, if you look at the wheels, just 1 in the front, 2 in the back. I'm not really experienced in making suspension systems, so right now it's a solid wheel mount, which isn't really a problem for this plane though, because it takes off and it lands very softly. The back wheels are substantially higher than the front wheel, and you can notice that the plane has a 15-degree inclination nose up. And this not only helps during takeoff, but when it's in horizontal flight too. Back to the wheels, you can see that the back wheels are more oriented toward the center. And you can see that, both sides are sort of similar length to each other. And that's another mistake I made before. And this is really interesting during takeoff. I mean, significant. Is because before when I made like a draft for this plane, the back wheels were sort of over here. So like when the nose was being pushed up by a thruster in the front, it had nothing to lever on. And what it would do is just make the takeoff much more difficult and take on more unnecessary force to take off, which would make flying in the air much more sensitive pitch-wise, and it would make it very unstable. So that's why the wheel mat in the middle is better. Also, you notice there's no pitch thruster in the front to push the nose up, and that's because I put it in the back, so it pushes down if I want to take off. Reason for that? You notice that it acts as a lever. So when it pushes down, as a nice steady takeoff and gradual one. And I think this just building this way for an aircraft, I just feel like it's better. In the front, you can notice that you have the propeller. Propeller is just purely for visual effect. It doesn't really have any use. Now that we get in here, this is the entire functionality of the aircraft. If I take my E2, you'll notice that the bottom one controls all the inputs and pretty much the overall real functionality of the plane. This is the thing that makes it fly. The top part controls the dashboard. It's a console system, by the way. So anyway, excuse me. If I get in the seat, you'll notice that there's 4 main areas of the dashboard: the speed, the altitude, the vertical speed, and the inputs. Now, before I had the propeller speed, but I realized that wouldn't really put much use to the pilot, so I decided to scrap that and just keep these 3 things, because these actually, I would say, would help you during flight if you're in first person, which I prefer. The input section is pretty much more for troubleshooting, like making sure like all your inputs are working after you dupe it, because sometimes things can go wrong during a dupe. And when you're on a server, and let's say, I don't know, you want to do a long trip, if the map allows it, I guess, it's always good to just make sure you have a safe trip by knowing that all your inputs are working correctly, I guess. So now you can notice I press this on. The vehicle is moving a little bit more towards the knock of the piston. That's why the vehicle is jiggling. But also, turn the vehicle on unlocks the parking brake. See on the bottom, the park isn't active. The back wheels is the brake, by the way. I'll show you that right now. Oops. So now if I do that, it releases the brake, and you can see that's an off. Now it's W and S for pitch, so I'm going to press W, it's decreasing pitch, and S is increasing. Roll is A and D, left and right. Now these buttons do not work while the ignition's off. It's completely ignition based. Turn it back on. There we go. Space is the brake, and that controls the front wheel. Now, the reason why the front wheel is the main brake, like when you're landing, is because it's a lot more stable, though, because between both wheels it disperses the weight. I don't know why. I think that's the reason. But it just works a lot better from a lot of trial and error. So I'm going to take off and show you how gradual takeoff is. Now I'm going to press W and S, and you notice that the pitch is very light. And you might be wondering, how is this going to take off the vessel? Now I'm going to accelerate, and hold S, and you can see that it gradually takes off. Now I'm going to go straight up, and you're watching my vertical speed go up. Oops. My altitude's going up, and my vertical speed. We're going to go down, the vertical, and negative vertical speed, by the way, just means you're decreasing altitude. So now I'm going to try to, like, horizontally land this softly, using vertical speed to my advantage. And you can see I landed it pretty softly. I'm going to press the brake. And you can see it was a very stable flight. Now I'm going to take off again. I'm going to make a turn. Now, when it comes to flying this, there is no yaw, so to accommodate that, all we have is pitch and roll. At top speed horizontal is around 85. I would say the top speed. I would say that's more the average speed. And the reason it's going so slow is because it's so light. And because you can do it. Because most planes on Gmod can't really be controlled at low speed. But because this is so light, it can. See, most heavier aircraft needs a lot more speed to take off due to their high mass. Like, see, this is doing really good. So like I said, I'm going to get a low vertical speed while decreasing my altitude. It had a pretty soft landing. Press the brake. Yeah, I think it went pretty well. So overall, that is the conclusion of the Aerox Cloud. Thanks for watching.